Fast, focused, and fearless. Here's everything you need to know as you jumpstart your day. I'm Diego Castro. China warns that increased American military presence in the Philippines may only escalate tensions in the region. This as the Philippine government announced the locations of the additional Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement or EDCA sites in the country. Beijing denounced the move as Washington's attempt to strengthen its military deployment in the region.
事实非常清楚，美方出于一己私利，抱持零和思维，不断在本地区加强军事部署，其结果必然是加剧局势紧张，危害地区和平稳定。地区国家应该深入地想一想，到底什么才是合适的，什么才是互利的，从而做出真正有利于自身利益、有利于地区和平稳定。
The U.S. Pentagon, however, explained that it had no intentions of establishing permanent military bases in the Philippines.
We're not seeking permanent basing here, so you're going to see an increase of rotational forces in the region, but this is more about supporting combined training, being able to respond to natural disaster or humanitarian disasters in the region, but this is really about regional readiness.
With the identification of additional sites under EDCA, local government leaders and experts warn of the implications of increased military presence in the country. Maricel Halili with the rest of the details.
Philippine and U.S. troops will soon have more facilities for security and defense in the country. Malacanang earlier named the 4 locations being considered as additional sites under the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, or EDCA. These are the Camilo Osias Naval Base and Lalo Airport in Cagayan, Camp Melchor de la Cruz in Camu Isabela, and Balabac Island in Palawan. In total, the Philippines will have 9 EDCA sites once the facilities are constructed in the 4 additional locations. The administration has been very clear that these sites will not be used as bases by the U.S. military, but some local officials remain opposed to the agreement.
Mas malaking ihamak ang positive if we connect ourselves to our neighbors, especially China. Amerikano, wala ko report pa. Ang layo pa sa atin.
For the Philippine Army, the expanded base access provides an opportunity to improve the country's military facilities.
Malaking tulong yon because of course, we have to admit, kulang tayo sa pondo but they can provide the funds para sa improvement ng ating kampo na mutually pwedeng gamitin.
While there are some economic benefits to having additional EDCA sites, one expert believes that long-term security risks must be taken into consideration.
Of course, China will not take that very lightly. China is, in fact, in my opinion, viewing the approval of the Philippine government to allow the expansion of EDCA as an utter betrayal of their bilateral understanding made during the January 2023 visit of President Bongbong.
Banlawi adds that the location for the EDCA sites were strategically chosen to prepare the U.S. for any military contingency in the Indo-Pacific region.
If there will be military confrontations between the United States and China, surely the Philippines will be involved in a war, and we will be the target of military attack of China. We hope that China and the United States will not go to armed conflict.
Amid all the different views on EDCA, the Department of Foreign Affairs believes that the Philippines will greatly benefit from these additional sites. Strengthening the country's defense capabilities is among them. For News 5, Maricel Halili, We Are One News.
Meanwhile, the Philippines and China are moving forward on the proposed joint oil and gas cooperation in the West Philippine Sea, a result of the consensus signed by the two countries after President Bongbong Marcos' state visit in Beijing last January. The Foreign Affairs Department said Philippines and Chinese officials will meet in Beijing next month to restart the negotiations. DFA Secretary Enrique Manalo said the talks will be at a technical level and maritime officers will be present. The meeting will focus on the terms of reference and the issues needed to be tackled for formal negotiations. Manalo assured that they will provide an update to the Senate regarding the issue. Senator Francis Tolentino had said that the Senate should be involved in negotiations since it is an extension of the country's foreign policy. We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Diego Castro. Experts are fearing that aside from Coron, Palawan, the oil slick from the sunken MT Princess Empress could reach as far as the Tubataha Reef. A consultant of the Justice Department said this based on satellite images released by America's National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. The images show that the direction of the oil slick appears to be heading to Coron, but experts know that wind directions could shift and the oil could spread to farther areas.
It's a live moving dynamic entity na marami siyang masasagasaan. So pag pumiti ulit yung hangin, baka mahati siya, saan siya pupunta? Baka Puerto Princesa, Honda Bay, o kaya Tubataha. Baka umabot na Mindanao.
It's just a hint kung what could be on ground. That's why we send our ships to check and yung status here sa ground. So perhaps I say so that we can be more factual and maybe prevent any unnecessary anxieties.
For now, the Philippine Coast Guard says over half of the industrial oil carried by the tanker have leaked into the sea. Cleanups continue in affected coastlines. The Supreme Court affirmed its 2021 decision, which declared the 729-hectare Bonifacio Global City Complex and several barangays in Makati City as owned by the Taguig City government. In its resolution, the SC Special 3rd Division denied the motion for reconsideration filed by the Makati City government, seeking the reversal of its December 1, 2021 ruling favoring the Taguig City government in the territorial dispute case. The SC also rejected the motion of Makati City to submit the case to the court en banc since it is not an appellate court where they can appeal. Taguig City has since welcomed the decision, saying that the end of the legal dispute marks the beginning of a new chapter for Taguig and its people. Filipinos are used to observing traditional Holy Week practices like fasting or joining the Alay Lakad. Some acts of penitence may even be a bit extreme, like crucifixion. But it turns out there are simpler ways to express your devotion this Holy Week. Mobile journalist Yeda Pascual with the story.
The Filipino faithful have different ways of commemorating the Passion of Christ this Holy Week. But if you still haven't settled on what to do to express your faith, the church says You can start with something simple like fixing of bad attitude. The Catholic Church explains, acts like fasting and abstinence are some Holy Week sacrifices done by the faithful to express gratefulness for Jesus' ultimate sacrifice on the cross. And in this modern age, the Church says, the faithful can start with a simple act of improving their behavior.
Magagawa nila yan sa pamagitan ng pag-give up ng something na alam nila na hindi naman maganda, no? Like for example, masyadong silang nakatutok sa gadget, no? So baka pwede naman nila i-give up yun, no, once in a while, no?
The Church adds that devotees do not need to participate in extreme acts of penitence. What they can sacrifice instead are bad attitudes like being rude or easily angered.
Ito ay isang napakagandang pagsasakripisyo ng mga pagbibigay natin, pag-give up natin sa mga ugaling ito sa pagbago sa ating mga sarili, dahil yun naman talaga ang mensahe ng ating Panginoong Hesus sa atin.
This Holy Week, the Church says it's also important for Filipinos to show their love for others, which can be done through simple acts like helping those in need or spending time with family, friends, and loved ones.
Napakagandang opportunity ang Lent for us to reflect sa ating mga buhay, hindi yung buhay ng iba. No? Para tingnan natin kung ano yung kailangan nating baguhin para maisabuhay natin ang ninanais ng ating Panginoong Hesus para sa atin, na tayo ay magmahala, na tayo ay mamuhay na mapayapa at magbibigay ng ginawa sa ating kapwa.
Mobile journalist Yeda Pascual, we are One News.
And that's it for this hour. Join us again at 7:45 a.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. I am Diego Castro. We are One News. All sides, all the time.